Hey everybody, so I thought that it would be kind of fun to share our story of trying to conceive and kind of how it all went about for us. I guess the best place to start is we kind of initially, when we got married, decided we wanted to wait about 2 years before we wanted to start trying. So January of last year, 2011, we kind of started talking more seriously about really starting to try for kids, and kind of had to convince my husband a little bit that we really could have a baby. He always wanted to have kids and of course wants to have kids, but I think the idea of actually like trying for one kind of was like a little crazy. So we started talking about it in probably about January, and then in March is when I actually went off the pill. And the first couple months we really didn't try too much, just because from what my doctor had told me and just from what I've heard, that usually it takes a couple months for your body to kind of go back to normal and even get pregnant. So I didn't really have too many expectations about getting pregnant right away, and we didn't really try. So we waited a couple months before really kind of putting an effort into it, I guess you could say. And then, you know, 3 months had passed, and then we kind of tried for a couple months. So, you know, maybe last summer, early fall, and I kind of just always thought it would happen right away. I didn't think that it would be something that we would really have to try very long for. And each month that passed, it just was really disheartening that we weren't pregnant, and it was kind of a bummer. It was just a lot to take in. It was a lot more emotional and trying than I ever thought trying to get pregnant would be. I just kind of thought it would happen and that'd be the end of that. I mean, most people never talk about having issues conceiving or, you know, it taking them a long time. Most people are just like, oh yeah, I got pregnant right away. So I just kind of thought that's how it would be. And initially it just didn't happen. And so probably about October of last year, both my husband and I decided we wanted to try and lose some weight. We were both really overweight, and the more research that I did on it, the more that I saw that that can affect your ability to conceive, and then just in general, it's not good to be overweight. We were both really, really overweight. So about October of last year, we stopped really trying. You know, we were never preventing, I guess you could say, but we were never trying, like effort putting into it. So from October to the beginning of this year, we both went on a really strict diet and lost a lot of weight. And my husband lost about 50 pounds, and over like 6 months, I lost about 50 as well. So I'll kind of put in a before and after picture so you can see kind of where we were. So during that whole time, we weren't really trying, but I kind of still hoped that it maybe just might happen because we weren't preventing, like I said, but nothing happened. And it was really hard. Like, even though I wasn't trying or we weren't really trying, I still took it really hard every month when we weren't pregnant. It just really took a lot out of me. And then I started to really notice how irregular my cycles were, and that really started to kind of freak me out too. Initially when I went off the pill, my cycles were normal, and I guess when I was a teenager I never really paid attention to what my cycles were like, but they kind of were a little bit irregular then too. And I never thought about it at that point because I wasn't trying to have kids. But then once we really started wanting to put effort back into having kids again, I was really scared because my cycles were so off. You know, they were anywhere from 40 some days to 50 some days to 60 some days. Every month was a different story, and it was just really confusing because I didn't know when I was ovulating or when I was even gonna get my period. Like, everything was just so crazy. So I was really nervous because I didn't know if we would actually be able to get pregnant on our own or what the future might hold. And it was just kind of a scary time for me personally. I think I just overreact in a lot of ways. I tend to think, oh my gosh, this might not happen, or, you know, you just you want it so bad that it becomes a little bit too emotional sometimes. So that's kind of where we were. And I had been tracking like my temps and my BBT temp to kind of figure out maybe when I was ovulating, or at least have some data to try and figure out what kind of pattern I was on. So we really weren't trying, like I said. For me, I was still wanting to lose probably about another 20 pounds on my diet. And so we weren't trying, and I was kind of on a break from my diet early June, end of May. And I kind of thought that I had ovulated, just because, like I said, I had been tracking my temps, so I kind of thought that maybe I had ovulated. And just kind of jokingly, I told my husband, like, oh, I think I might ovulate. Maybe we might get pregnant. So that's kind of when it happened. The one time that I wasn't really serious about it and kind of wasn't stressing about it and didn't want to really get pregnant, well, I guess I did. But like I said, I wasn't expecting it to happen. So that was in June, and that's when we got pregnant. And I kind of didn't think I was pregnant at first. It was like, just I had a couple weird symptoms. Like I had some stomach cramps, and I never get stomach cramps and things like that. So, and I kind of psyched myself out before with things like that. So I'm like, didn't really read into it too much. And, but I was like 100% positive of when I had ovulated. So I knew that I should be getting my period pretty close to the middle of, well, not the middle of June, but the end of June. And then that's when I took a pregnancy test on June 24th, and it came up positive, and it was the craziest moment of my life. I sat there for a minute and just couldn't even believe that it had actually happened. So much emotion and so much time had gone into me thinking about getting pregnant and wanting to get pregnant, and then it finally happened when I least expected it. So it was definitely an interesting ride for me and for us trying to conceive. It was a lot more time than I ever thought it would be, and it just all worked out perfectly. So that's kind of our story and how we got our BFP. So yeah, and that's kind of it. So I hope you, if you're trying that, you know, don't stress about it too much. It'll happen when it's supposed to happen, and just kind of keep going, and wish you all the best.